Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Lunar Defense Station, her eyes fixed on the sleek vessel housed in the massive construction bay below. The UES Phoenix hung in its moorings like a predatory fish, its obsidian hull seeming to drink in the harsh industrial lighting. 10 years of work, countless breakthroughs, and humanity's collective determination had produced something that would change the galaxy forever. Final systems check is complete, Admiral, reported Dr. James Morrison, the project's lead scientist. His holographic avatar flickered beside her, displaying real-time data streams from the Phoenix's core systems. The quantum matrix is stable, and the reality warping drive is operating within expected parameters. Sarah nodded, remembering the day that had set all this in motion. The hegemony's diplomatic fleet had arrived in Earth orbit, demanding humanity's submission to their authority. Their ships had been impressive, massive vessels bristling with weapons that could have reduced Earth's cities to ash. But they had made one critical mistake. They had let their guards down, believing humans to be primitive savages barely worth their notice. The boarding party they had sent to the International Space Station had carried portable quantum computers, supposedly unhackable by lesser species. Within 6 hours, Earth's best cybersecurity experts had not only broken their encryption, but had downloaded terabytes of their most classified technical data. The hegemony ships had left, satisfied with Earth's show of submission, never realizing they had handed humanity the keys to their technological kingdom. "Show me the stealth system's current status," Sarah commanded. A new set of diagnostics appeared before her, showing the revolutionary tech that made the Phoenix unique. While the hegemony relied on energy-intensive cloaking fields, the Phoenix's hull incorporated metamaterials that could bend space-time itself, making the ship virtually undetectable. The hegemony's latest patrol passed within 10,000 kilometers of the station, Morrison reported. Their scans showed nothing but normal lunar mining operations. The camouflage systems are performing perfectly. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The hegemony had established outposts throughout the solar system, supposedly to guide humanity's development. In reality, they were there to ensure humans didn't advance too quickly. Their arrogance had led them to ignore the massive industrial operation happening quite literally under their noses. "What's the status of the weapon systems?" she asked, bringing up the tactical displays. The Phoenix carried no conventional weapons, no mass drivers, no missile tubes, no energy cannons. Instead, it wielded something far more sophisticated: quantum uncertainty projectors that could temporarily alter the laws of physics within a targeted area. "All systems are green," Morrison confirmed. "The uncertainty fields are stable and can be projected up to 50,000 kilometers. We can disable any hegemony ship without firing a single shot. Their own power systems will simply cease to function within our influence sphere." Sarah turned as the station's commander, Colonel David Martinez, entered the observation deck. "Admiral, we've received the latest intelligence from our deep space probes. The hegemony is mobilizing a major fleet in the Arcturus sector. Early analysis suggests they're planning to establish a permanent garrison in the Sol system." "Their timing couldn't be better," Sarah replied, her expression hardening. "How long until the Phoenix is ready for its first deployment?" "Final crew integration training completes in 48 hours, Morrison answered. "After that, we can launch as soon as you give the word." Sarah turned back to the viewport, studying the vessel that represented humanity's greatest achievement. The hegemony thought they had encountered another primitive species to dominate, another civilization to slowly strangle under the guise of guidance and protection. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't control: human ingenuity. "Begin crew boarding procedures," she ordered. "I want the Phoenix ready for emergency deployment within 24 hours. If the hegemony wants to cage humanity, they're about to learn why that's a terrible mistake." As the station burst into activity, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The hegemony had expected humans to spend centuries slowly adopting their cast-off technology, gradually being molded into obedient servants of their galactic order. Instead, Humanity had taken their arrogantly revealed secrets and transformed them into something entirely new. The Phoenix wasn't just a warship, it was a statement. It declared that humanity wouldn't be confined, controlled, or suppressed. The hegemony thought they were dealing with simple primitives who would be grateful for their table scraps of technology. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in copying others' achievements, but in taking existing ideas and transforming them into something revolutionary. "Send word to all Earth defense stations," Sarah commanded. "Operation Awakening begins in 24 hours. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity won't be caged." As klaxons began to sound throughout the station, announcing the start of launch preparations, Sarah felt a fierce pride in what they had accomplished. The hegemony had tried to chain humanity's potential. Instead, they had given humanity the tools to forge something unprecedented, a ship that would rewrite the rules of space warfare and shatter the hegemony's illusion of supremacy. The age of human submission was about to end, and the galaxy would never be the same. The UES Phoenix glided through the darkness between stars, its quantum-wrapped hull invisible to both light and sensors. In the command center, Admiral Chen watched as tactical displays showed 3 hegemony warships passing within striking distance, their crews completely unaware of the revolutionary vessel in their midst. Patrol fleet maintaining standard search pattern. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez reported from her sensor station. They still think they're dealing with simple pirates. Her hands danced over the holographic controls, maintaining the delicate balance of the Phoenix's stealth systems. The truth was far more complex. For the past month, the Phoenix had been systematically dismantling hegemony operations throughout the sector, but not through direct confrontation. Instead, they were using the ship's advanced capabilities to orchestrate what appeared to be a series of accidents and malfunctions. "Status update from New Eden Colony," Commander Jackson announced, bringing up a secure transmission. The hegemony oversight garrison just withdrew, citing equipment failures. Their entire defensive grid crashed during last night's operation. Sarah allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Phoenix's quantum uncertainty projectors had performed perfectly, introducing subtle instabilities into the hegemony systems. Nothing obvious enough to raise alarms, but more than sufficient to convince them that their equipment couldn't function properly on the colony world. "They're pulling back to their main bases," Jackson continued. "Local authorities estimate the colony will have complete autonomy within a week." It was a pattern they had repeated at 3 other human settlements. The hegemony's hold over humanity's expansion into space was weakening, but not through open defiance. Instead, the Phoenix was creating an illusion of technical incompatibility, making the hegemony believe their technology simply couldn't function reliably around human settlements. "Admiral," Maya called out, her voice tense. "Priority alert from the Centauri Deep Space Array. We're picking up a massive quantum wake signature. Something big just entered the sector." The tactical display shifted, showing a massive vessel emerging from faster-than-light travel. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she recognized the configuration. A hegemony command carrier, nearly 20 kilometers long and carrying enough firepower to level a continent. "It's the Eternal Dominion," Jackson confirmed, reading from the identification data. "Grand Admiral Vextra's personal flagship. Intelligence suggested he was still in the Arcturus sector." Sarah studied the massive vessel's approach vector. "They're ahead of schedule. The hegemony must be more concerned about their equipment failures than we anticipated." She turned to her crew. "Bring us in closer, but maintain absolute stealth protocols. I want to know why the second highest ranking officer in the hegemony is taking a personal interest in this sector." The Phoenix moved like a shadow through space, its quantum drive allowing it to match the carrier's course without leaving any detectable trace. As they drew closer, their sensors penetrated the massive vessel's security protocols, revealing concerning details. "They're carrying a full invasion fleet," Maya reported, horror creeping into her voice. "Over 200 ships in their launch bays, plus enough ground forces to occupy every human colony in the sector." "They're not taking any chances," Sarah mused. The hegemonies built their empire on the illusion of technological superiority. If they can't maintain control through their technology, they'll resort to brute force. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. The Phoenix had succeeded in its mission to undermine hegemony control, but in doing so, they had pushed the aliens to consider more direct methods of suppression. "Orders, Admiral," Jackson asked quietly. Sarah studied the tactical displays, her mind racing through scenarios. The Phoenix could disable the carrier systems, but not before they managed to transmit a distress signal. Open conflict wasn't an option. Not yet. They needed more time to prepare Earth's defenses and complete the construction of additional ships using the Phoenix's technologies. "Plot a course back to Sol," she commanded. "We've confirmed the hegemony's intentions. Now we need to accelerate our preparations for Phase 2. As the Phoenix slipped away from the massive carrier, Sarah reflected on the growing stakes of their mission. The hegemony's response to their covert operations proved what Earth's leadership had feared. The aliens would never willingly accept humanity as equals. They would have to be forced to recognize humanity's potential, and that recognition would come at a price. "Send an encrypted burst transmission to Lunar Command," she ordered. "The hegemony is moving up their timetable. We need to activate all sleeper cells within their territory immediately." For years, Earth had been secretly planting agents throughout hegemony space, scientists, traders, and seemingly loyal servants who had gained access to critical facilities. Each carried quantum-encrypted data that would allow them to sabotage key systems when the signal came. "Time to show the hegemony that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology," Sarah said quietly. "It's our ability to adapt and overcome. Begin Operation Shadowfall. Let's see how their invasion fleet functions when their own systems turn against them." The Phoenix accelerated silently through space, leaving behind no trace of its presence. In its wake, hidden agents throughout the sector prepared to strike, ready to prove that humanity's ingenuity could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. The real war for humanity's freedom was about to begin, and the hegemony had no idea what they were truly facing. Alarms blared through the corridors of the hegemony command carrier Eternal Dominion as system after system began to fail. In the Phoenix's command center, Admiral Chen watched the chaos unfold through their quantum-linked surveillance feeds. "Operation Shadowfall is proceeding as planned," Commander Jackson reported. "Our sleeper agents have successfully compromised 70% of critical systems across the hegemony fleet. Their quantum cores are experiencing cascading failures. On the main display, the massive invasion fleet hung motionless in space, their ships powerless and adrift. The carefully planted human agents had done their work well, using their supposedly primitive technology to introduce subtle but devastating errors into the hegemony's computer systems. They're beginning to realize this isn't a random malfunction," Maya announced, monitoring communications traffic. "Grand Admiral Vexfere is ordering a full security sweep of all systems. They're looking for signs of sabotage." Sarah nodded grimly. "They won't find anything. Our quantum viruses are designed to look like natural degradation of their systems. By the time they identify the true cause, it will be too late." The Phoenix maintained its invisible vigil as the hegemony's mighty fleet struggled to restore power. Decades of assuming technological superiority had left them vulnerable to attacks they never imagined possible from primitive humans. "New transmission from Earth Command," Jackson said suddenly. "They're detecting massive quantum wake signatures in the Arcturus sector. The hegemony is mobilizing their entire reserve fleet." Sarah's expression hardened. This was the moment they had prepared for, the point where the hegemony would abandon their pretense of peaceful oversight and show their true intentions. "It seems Grand Admiral Vexfere isn't taking any chances," she observed. "They're calling in everything they have. Coordinate with our agents in the Arcturus sector. I want to know the moment that fleet begins to move." Hours passed as the Phoenix monitored the situation. The hegemony engineers managed to restore partial power to some vessels, but their sophisticated quantum systems remained compromised. What they didn't realize was that every attempt to fix the problems only embedded the human-designed viruses deeper into their networks. "Admiral," Maya called out urgently, "we're picking up a transmission from Vexthra's command center. It's different from their usual communications." The message played through the command center speakers, translated in real time by their AI systems. Grand Admiral Vexthra's voice carried a tone that no human had ever heard from a hegemony official before. "Fear. To all commands," the transmission began. "We have confirmed that the system failures across our fleet are the result of coordinated sabotage. Analysis suggests technological capabilities far beyond what humans should possess. We must assume they have somehow developed or acquired advanced quantum manipulation technology. The human threat must be eliminated immediately, regardless of the cost." Sarah's crew exchanged glances. The hegemony's worst nightmare had come true. Their carefully maintained image of technological superiority was crumbling. "They're powering up their remaining functional ships," Jackson reported. "Emergency protocols are being enacted. They're preparing to launch an immediate strike against Earth." "Right on schedule," Sarah said quietly. She opened a channel to Earth Command. "This is Admiral Chen. The hegemony has taken the bait. Recommend immediate activation of Phase 3. Throughout the Sol system, hidden installations began powering up. What the hegemony had dismissed as primitive mining operations and research stations were actually manufacturing facilities, each producing components for a fleet of vessels based on the Phoenix's revolutionary technology. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Maya announced. "The Arcturus fleet is moving. Estimated arrival time in Sol system, 6 hours." Sarah stood from her command chair, addressing her crew. The hegemony built their empire on the belief that they alone could master quantum technology. That belief made them arrogant, and that arrogance made them vulnerable. They thought humans would be content to develop slowly under their guidance, never realizing we were capable of taking their own technology and transforming it into something they couldn't comprehend. She brought up a tactical display showing the positions of Earth's hidden fleet. The Phoenix was never meant to fight this war alone. "We are the prototype, the proof that humanity could match and exceed hegemony technology. Now it's time to show them exactly what they've awakened." "Orders, Admiral," Jackson asked, his hands poised over the tactical controls. "Begin transmission of activation codes to all Phoenix-class vessels," she commanded. "Coordinate with Earth Command to synchronize our response. When the hegemony fleet arrives, they'll find not one ship they can't detect, but an entire fleet ready to demonstrate humanity's true potential." As the orders went out, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. The hegemony had sought to keep humanity confined and controlled, never imagining that their attempts at suppression would drive humans to achieve the impossible. "The breaking point has arrived," she announced to her crew. "The hegemony thought they could cage humanity's potential. Instead, they gave us the keys to our own liberation. Prepare for combat operations. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." Throughout the Sol system, advanced warships began powering up their quantum drives, ready to defend their homeworld against an empire that had underestimated them for the last time. The final confrontation was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The hegemony invasion fleet burst into the Sol system in a cascade of quantum distortions, over 300 capital ships strong. Their arrival was meant to be an overwhelming show of force. Instead, they found themselves surrounded. "All Phoenix-class vessels report ready," Commander Jackson announced on the bridge of the UES Phoenix. "Quantum synchronization complete. The fleet is awaiting your command, Admiral." Sarah Chen stood at her command station, watching as the massive hegemony armada moved into attack formation. The aliens had no idea they were already caught in an intricate trap, their every move anticipated and countered before they even arrived. "Signal from Grand Admiral Vexthra's flagship," Maya reported. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The alien admiral's voice filled the command center, translated in real time. "Attention Earth forces. Your acts of sabotage against the hegemony will not go unpunished. Surrender immediately, and we may yet show mercy. Resist, and your world will burn." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Send our response. All frequencies, full broadcast." She stepped forward, her voice calm and measured. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Fleet. For too long, the hegemony has suppressed human advancement, believing they could keep us contained and controlled. That ends today." At her signal, 50 Phoenix-class vessels simultaneously deactivated their quantum stealth systems. The advanced warships seemed to materialize from nothing, their obsidian hulls reflecting the light of Sol as they revealed themselves in perfect formation around the hegemony fleet. "Impossible." Vexthra's voice crackled over the comm. "No primitive species could develop such technology. You've stolen these ships from someone else." "No, Admiral," Sarah replied. "We built them ourselves, using the very knowledge you arrogantly display before us. Humanity doesn't just copy technology. We improve it, transform it, turn it into something new. Your mistake was assuming we would develop exactly as you predicted." The hegemony fleet sensors were going wild, trying to comprehend the vessels that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. The Phoenix-class ships' quantum matrices bent space itself around their hulls, making them appear to shift and ripple like mirages. "Multiple weapons locks detected," Jackson reported. "The hegemony fleet is preparing to fire." "Initiate Operation Checkmate," Sarah commanded. "Show them exactly what humanity's technology can do." The 50 Phoenix-class vessels activated their quantum uncertainty projectors in perfect synchronization. Waves of altered spacetime swept through the hegemony fleet, causing their supposedly advanced weapons to fail as fundamental forces stopped behaving as expected within the affected zones. "By the eternal void," Vexthra's voice was barely a whisper. "What have you done?" "We've changed the rules," Sarah answered. "Your weapons cannot function within our uncertainty fields. Your shields cannot form. Your quantum cores cannot maintain stability. You're not facing inferior technology, Admiral. You're facing something entirely new." The hegemony fleet tried to retreat, but found their faster-than-light drives refused to engage. They were trapped in normal space, their mighty warships reduced to powerless hulks by technology they couldn't even understand. "Final warning, Admiral Vexthra," Sarah announced. "The hegemony will immediately withdraw all forces from human space. You will recognize Earth's independence and our right to develop without interference. Refuse, and we will demonstrate exactly how much more of your technology we've improved upon." Hours passed as the hegemony command debated their options. Their mighty fleet hung powerless in space, surrounded by vessels that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Finally, Vexthra's response came. The hegemony. His voice carried the weight of centuries of assumed superiority crumbling away. "The hegemony accepts your terms. We will withdraw." Sarah nodded to her crew. "Release the uncertainty fields. Allow them power for basic operations and faster-than-light transit. But know this, Admiral, this is only a fraction of what humanity has developed. If you ever return with hostile intent, you'll discover exactly how much more we're capable of." As the hegemony fleet retreated in disgrace, Sarah opened a channel to all Earth forces, to all ships and stations. For centuries, the galaxy believed that advancement had to follow a predetermined path, that younger species needed guidance and control to develop properly. Today, humanity has proved them wrong. We didn't just master their technology. We revolutionized it. She watched as the last hegemony ships disappeared into quantum space, fleeing the scene of their greatest defeat. This victory belongs not just to our fleet, but to every human who refused to accept the limitations others tried to place on us. The galaxy will never be the same, and neither will humanity. The Phoenix-class vessels resumed their quantum stealth protocols, vanishing from sight, but maintaining their vigilant watch over Earth. The hegemony had learned a costly lesson. Attempting to cage humanity's potential had only driven them to achieve the impossible. In the command center of the UES Phoenix, Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. The real challenge would begin now, showing the galaxy that humanity's revolutionary advances could benefit all species, not just human civilization. The age of hegemony dominance was over, replaced by something far more interesting, a future where innovation and transformation would trump blind adherence to established patterns. The checkmate had been achieved not through brute force, but through humanity's greatest strengths: ingenuity, adaptation, and the relentless drive to exceed all expectations. 3 months after the hegemony's retreat from Sol, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. The massive chamber, carved from a single crystal asteroid in neutral space, hosted representatives from over 1,000 species. At its center, a holographic display showed the UES Phoenix in all its glory, its revolutionary design now visible to all. "The age of suppression is over," Sarah declared to the assembled delegates. "Humanity presents a new vision for galactic civilization, one where innovation is celebrated, not controlled, where advancement isn't limited to predetermined paths." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices as species that had lived under hegemony dominance for centuries grappled with the implications. The Phoenix's quantum technology had shattered more than just the hegemony's military might. It had broken their monopoly on advanced development. "You can't simply abandon millennia of careful technological progression," protested the hegemony's representative, his scales shifting to angry crimson. "There are protocols, safeguards that served only to maintain your power," Sarah countered. "Humanity has proved that there are countless paths to advancement." The hegemony's greatest fear wasn't that younger species would develop incorrectly. It was that we might develop in ways they couldn't control. On massive screens throughout the chamber, data streamed showing the results of the first collaborative projects between human scientists and other species. Quantum technology was being adapted in ways the hegemony had never imagined, solving problems that had plagued various civilizations for generations. Within 3 months of open cooperation, Sarah continued, "We've seen breakthroughs in everything from medical technology to environmental restoration. Imagine what we could achieve if we stopped limiting ourselves to traditional development paths." Commander Jackson, standing at her side, brought up new holographic displays. They showed the Phoenix's quantum uncertainty fields being adapted to contain dangerous spatial anomalies that had threatened entire sectors. Another display demonstrated how modified versions of the technology were revolutionizing faster than light travel. "Humanity doesn't seek to replace the hegemony's dominance with our own," Sarah assured the Council. "We propose a new framework for galactic civilization, one based on cooperation and innovation rather than control and suppression." The Artathi representative, their crystalline form catching the chamber's light, rose to speak. The hegemony claimed their guidance was necessary to prevent chaos. "Without their control, how can we ensure dangerous technologies don't fall into the wrong hands?" Sarah smiled. "The Phoenix proves that control doesn't equal security. The hegemony's rigid systems made them vulnerable to exactly the kind of technological surprise they claim to prevent. True security comes from adaptation and understanding, not suppression." She gestured to the gathered representatives. "Every species here has unique perspectives, different ways of approaching problems. By combining these viewpoints, by allowing ourselves to think beyond established patterns, we can achieve things none of us could manage alone." The chamber grew quiet as Sarah activated one final holographic display. It showed the construction of a massive station in Earth orbit, the new Galactic Innovation Center, where scientists from all species could collaborate freely. "The choice before us is simple," Sarah declared. "We can cling to the old system of rigid control and predetermined development, or we can embrace a future where every species is free to contribute their unique insights to our shared advancement." Representatives began signaling their support, species that had chafed under hegemony restrictions for centuries, seeing an opportunity for genuine progress. Even some former hegemony allies, impressed by humanity's achievements, indicated their willingness to embrace the new paradigm. Let this be remembered as the moment when the galaxy chose cooperation over control, Sarah concluded. When we decided that the future would be shaped not by those who seek to maintain power, but by those who dare to imagine new possibilities. The resolution passed with overwhelming support. As the chamber erupted in celebration, Sarah stepped away from the podium, joining her crew. "Think they understand what they're really voting for?" Jackson asked quietly. Sarah watched the representatives of 1,000 worlds embracing the dawn of a new era. They're voting for the right to surprise themselves, to discover capabilities they never knew they had. She smiled. Just as humanity did when the hegemony thought they could keep us in a cage. Aboard the Phoenix, now in high orbit above the council chamber, Maya's voice came through their secure channel. "Admiral, we're detecting quantum wake signatures from multiple systems, ships from dozens of species, all requesting permission to dock at the Innovation Center. They're not waiting for official procedures. They want to start collaborating immediately." Sarah felt a surge of pride. Humanity had done more than defeat the hegemony. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward. The Phoenix had been their prototype, their proof that limitations existed only in the mind. Now that spirit of innovation would spread across the stars. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Operation New Dawn is a success. The real revolution isn't our technology. It's the idea that any species can transcend their supposed limitations. The galaxy will never be the same." As celebrations erupted across 1,000 worlds, the UES Phoenix hung in space, its quantum-wrapped hull a testament to humanity's greatest victory, proving that the path to the future couldn't be controlled or contained. It could only be discovered, one breakthrough at a time, by those brave enough to imagine the impossible.